Okay, investment in available for sale securities. In this case, the investor plans to sell these stock investments, but not in the near future. So they're going to hold on to them for at least 90 days. That's what makes them different from trading securities. You can be invested in the same securities, but one company might plan to sell them within 90 days, so that company would classify them as trading securities, and another company might hold the same stocks, but they plan to sell them, but they're not going to sell them for 90 days. It'll be, if it's within a year, if they plan to sell them within a year, then they'll classify them as current. And if they're planning to hold on to them for at least a year, they'll classify them as long-term. And again, this assumes that you own less than 20% of a company. If you own between 20 and 50%, you always use the equity method. Holodowski Corporation has available for sale securities at December 31st, 2014. They have Campbell Soup Corp. They paid $93,537, and Hershey Company stock, $200,000. At the end of the year, the fair market value of the Campbell Soup is $103,600. So they have a $10,063 unrealized gain. Now again, it's unrealized because they still own the stock. It hasn't been sold. Hershey Company stock at the end of the year is $180,400. So the total fair market value of the available for sale securities portfolio is $284. So there's been a net loss. This loss here on Hershey Company was $19,600. So you would take the net loss or gain of your entire available for sale portfolio. You would do this separately for the trading securities. So you don't net your trading and your available for sale securities. Keep them separate. So at the end of the year, we have to do an adjustment to show that unrealized loss. So on 12/31/14, we're going to debit unrealized gain or loss. Now, this is an interesting account title because you could use the same account title for a debit or credit. And if it's a debit, it means it's a loss, and if it's a credit, it's a gain. And some companies will have two separate accounts. They'll have unrealized loss, and if they have a loss, then that's what they'll debit. And they'll have a separate account, unrealized gain, and that's what they'll credit, and then they'll have to net the two accounts at the end of the period anyway. So we're just combining them. And the rest of this title is equity. And the reason we put equity there is because this unrealized gain or loss is not going to show up on the income statement like the trading security unrealized gain or loss does. This unrealized gain or loss is going to show up in the equity section, in the stockholders' equity section. So we're going to show that loss of $9,537, and then we're going to have a market adjustment, and this is a different market adjustment account. I'm going to abbreviate. Then the market adjustment for the trading securities. They each have their own market adjustment account. So the way that this would show up on the end of the year balance sheet would depend on if this available for sale securities, if we plan to sell them within a year or longer than a year. I'm just going to put them in assets, but we would classify them as current assets or long-term, depending on how long we planned to hold them. So we would show investment in available for sale securities. I'm not writing the whole thing up because I don't have enough room. of $293,537. That was our cost. Oops, 537. Then we will show our market adjustment account, and in this case, because it's a credit balance and the investment is a debit balance, this market adjustment is a contra account. So we're going to put less market adjustment, and I'm going to start abbreviating, calling that AFS, available for sale. And the market adjustment balance right here is $95.37. So when you subtract that, our net amount equals the fair market value. And so that's the net investment. And then on the stockholders' equity section, you would show as a line item unrealized gain or loss on the equity.